What's going on, guys? I'm John. I'm here with Derrick Pinckney this morning from Warrior Genetics Lab. And Derrick and I met through the gym, and we've kind of been partnering, collaborating together. It's been a little bit of time off with my knee, but before that, and what we're hoping will take off after all of that is the Fayetteville Strength Society. It's important to us to bring powerlifting, strongman, strength sports to the community of just not of Fayetteville, but the surrounding areas, the Sandhills and stuff as well, because we want it to be a thing that people, add to their lives, make a part of their life. We understand how important it is from a mental health standpoint, from a physical standpoint, obviously. So, Derrick, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
And tell me a little bit about your story, your background, your military. I know you're a war hero. You might not say that, but I will say it for you. But tell us a little bit about that background.
Well, first off, married, 3 daughters, 2 grandkids, 2 godkids. Everything I do is based off of them. That's my foundation. As far as with the war injury, just like I said, I don't consider myself a hero. A lot of us don't. But it was in September 14th, 2006 at Baghdad West Substation. We got my platoon and a couple other guys got hit with a dump truck with a minimum of 250 pounds of explosive in the back. I caught shrapnel to the eye. We lose a few people, and the battle continued. And that's where Warrior Genetics came from. And the reason why I said the battle continued is because when I came home, I received a call about a couple of soldiers who was in my section that wasn't there, who committed suicide. I guess it was because of the not being there with us when it happened.
Right.
And their parents got in contact with me, and that really hit me hard. It still hit me to this day, myself and a couple of guys I stay in touch with. But that mainly what what my life is about right now. My family, my foundation, and veteran support. Seriously, veteran support and community awareness.
Yeah, and you had a traumatic brain injury from that, is that right?
Yes, I still suffer from it, along with the PTSD. It's 2 different things, because you can have a traumatic brain injury and not have the PTSD, but I suffer from both.
Yeah.
So that's where the fitness comes in, and the grandkids and stuff.
Yeah. So tell me, how does that transition for you? Were you weightlifting before all that, or did you get into that after?
Well, I got as far as weightlifting or any type of strength sports, it was always inside of my family. As far as I started with my cousin Tony, then my uncle Rock, who was from around here. He was a bodybuilder, and I always wanted to be just like him.
Right.
It's just that after the injury, it got more serious.
Right.
Now I was back home, I could focus on it. When I got into the gym, I felt, clear.
Right.
I felt like away from everything. I felt away from, the world.
Right.
So that's when he was always in my life, but then he got into it to help me, got to where I'm at now, as far as my size, my strength, and everything. And that's when I started focusing on promoting weightlifting for PTSD and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it happens like that for a lot of us. For me, I went into the gym and I was one of those guys always wandering around looking at the machine. Should I do this? Should I do that? And getting with a strength coach with Willie really made a difference for me. But now my kids see that and they want to emulate that as well. You talk about who you surround yourself with and how that has an influence and an impact on what you do and your lifting, not just your style, but the avenue you choose to go into. I got kids that want to drink protein shakes and things like that now because they see that stuff. So it really, your kids start to see that. I believe they, it used to be a thing where everybody wanted to have abs, and I think now that strong is the new sexy. Strong is the thing. Power is, people are starting to get into strength sports more and more. We live in a unique place where, with a lot of military here, we want to take that message out and encourage people, catch kids coming out of high school and get them into lifting as well.
As early as we can.
Yeah, because again, we see what it does for us. And I know for me, from a mental health aspect as well, man, anxiety and depression, that stuff can, if you can't get out of your own head and get to a place where you can do some things that make you feel good.
Oh, it'll hurt you. It'll bring you down.
Right.
Yeah. And
right.
it's hard to come back from. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you started Warrior Genetics Lab, and tell me about Warrior Genetics Lab a little bit. What it does, what you do with it, and
well, initially it was genetic push supplements.
Okay.
And also, that's at that time all I did is sell supplements. I was like a drop shipper.
Okay.
And it got real big, but after a while, you started dealing with the FDA. Even though I was just a drop shipper,
right?
When the manufacturer or anybody received these letters that, hey, you can't sell this no more,
right?
I would receive that. So I would have a stock problem. That the product is fire.
Wow.
Then you receive it. Hey, you can't even sell this no more. Not even you can't even have it on stock.
Wow.
So you spend thousands of dollars for a lot of these stuff. So I got out of that, and one day my wife was like, "You need to put your name on something," and that's when I got in touch with my young brother from the military. He's a first sergeant now. And I was like, I need a name, man. I said, you got to have genetics in it.
Yeah.
I said, and I was like, it got to have something to do with being a warrior, your inner warrior, something that everybody have.
Right.
And I want you to think of our situation when we got hit by the suicide bomber.
Yeah.
And he was like, Warrior Genetics Lab,
Wow.
And that's what the Warrior Genetics came from,
right.
And the lab is your body.
Right.
I believe that everybody, no matter who you are, you have some type of warrior genetics in you.
Right.
And and it's not being physically strong, but it's more being that individual that could come out of problems.
Right.
Because that's what the warrior do,
Right.
The warriors are usually the guys that is called upon when either the tribe or the community have an issue, now they step up, fix the problem, they come back home. And
right.
I think everybody have that.
Right.
It's just up for you to release it, and then that's Warrior Genetics Lab.
Yeah. Same thing for me with the cage lion powerlifting was, I always felt like a lion like I was locked in a cage, and I wanted that to be released.
Yeah.
And as I got a little bit, a little more refined with it, I started to recognize that strength is not always about power. Sometimes strength is about restraint. Sometimes strength is patient. And that's where this podcast came from. This vlog is Patient Strength Podcast or Patient Strength Vlog. The idea that you have to be patient in your strength. Yeah. You don't want to be one of these rage monsters who goes out, and I'm not talking about guys that are juicing or any of that stuff. I'm just talking simply about that everything is full force all the time. Yeah. You have to be smart with your training. You have to be patient. You have to be willing to, like I say, climb the ladder one rung at a time. Yeah. There is no shortcut for it.
There is not. I actually explained it to a couple of guys before. Even when I've been with genetic push supplements and Warrior Genetics Lab, of course the topic will come out. Hey, what do you think about steroids?
Right.
And I would tell them, hey. If it's controlled, it's controlled.
Right.
But believe that if you decide to take that route, your training has to advance because it's still not a shortcut.
Right.
Right now, if you're benching 225 just off of pre-work, if you decide to do that, you should your 225 should become a warm-up.
Right.
So it's never a shortcut. It is never a shortcut.
Right.
And you should always set a goal, and you have to follow it.
Right.
And once you hit that goal, then you keep going.
Right.
Because once you become, at one time my goal was 315 for 25 reps, and I got up to 15 before the injury. But while I'm training for that, my other goal was 405.
Oh yeah.
And you would think, if you could do 315 10 times, you could get 405. Nah.
Right.
That's a different weight.
That's a different level.
So you don't stop your goals once you receive it. You keep going.
Right.
Powerlifting, strongman, CrossFit, weightlifting, keep going. Don't hold yourself back.
Right. And that's for me, the one thing that appealed to me the most about the strength sports was I didn't have to compete against another person. I mean, obviously, if you're on the platform, you are competing against other people that are competing, but it doesn't have to be about that. For me, it was about chasing that number.
Yes.
What's the next number that I can chase?
Yeah.
And it really becomes an obsession. One of my idols, the guy that I look up to, is C.T. Fletcher, always talked about his magnificent obsession. And in order to be great at something, you have to be obsessed with it. we want to take that again and bring passion to some areas. There's a lot of stuff going on in the country right now, and it doesn't help with the coronavirus stuff that's going on too, because you got a lot of people with a lot of questions and not a lot of answers right now.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, where I think strength sports can play a role in helping people, not just with mental health, but with pride, with a way to push themselves and to challenge themselves as well. So you've got some guys on brand with you, right? I know Brian Forbes has got an event coming up this weekend, right?
Yeah, Brian, that's the man. Actually, I can tell you a story about Brian and Troy Nash.
Okay.
Troy Nash out of he's the original founder of Plate Rattlers out of South Carolina. Well, after my last event in September that I promoted, I relapsed myself into PTSD, and I'm not ashamed to tell you, I relapse a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you might see me one day squatting 500, and next thing you know, I'm not doing nothing.
Right.
You know, and that's when I'm in my zone. But Brian, he's out in Nebraska. He called. It was 9 o'clock at night, and he was like, "God, what's going on? You're not on Facebook. You're not on Instagram." And I was like, and I wasn't going to answer. My wife told me to answer, and I was like, I said, I don't know what's going on, because what a lot of people don't understand is when PTSD is not a violent reaction.
Right.
What it is you trigger either an event or something triggered the violence out of PTSD.
Right.
PTSD is usually just a depression. So you fall back in the state, And but I was in a neutral state. I was just living. I was just walking.
Gotcha.
And he was like, "What's going on, man? Warrior Genetics Lab." I closed it. And I was telling him. He was like, "Man, come on, man." And to this day, I still don't remember what I said, but he was saying that I said something to him that brought him out into helping him what he's doing in his garage now. Wow. He's lifting. And Troy Nash came to me about being a president of Plate Rattlers for North Carolina. I was like, dude, I'm nowhere near on y'all level.
Right.
But for him to have that vision to see me like that, and that sort of brought me back. I'm still working on it right now, but it brought me back. Reopened Warrior Genetics Lab, and the reason why I reopened it is to get rid of the products that I currently have and to change it to somewhere else.
Sure.
And I'm still in that process, which I guess we'll talk later on the future of Warrior Genetics Lab. But that's right now is Brian Forbes and a couple other guys.
Yeah.
A lot of heavy hitters. Right now Brian is shooting for 900 bench.
Wow.
And with that, I got my goal is again to get about 650 squat raw in the master's program.
Wow. Yeah, that's, man, talk about big numbers, some big numbers. So on that note, what's the future look like for Warrior Genetics Lab? What do you got coming up, or where do you want to take this?
Well, it's gonna just like I said, I want to clear out the products part. I still am going to support Serious Steel and Siberis. I believe that's how you say it. And one is because they already established with their products. Okay. But what Warrior Genetics Lab eventually going to go to is a training facility. And don't get it confused with a gym, because it's not going to be a gym. Right. You're not going to sign up and come in there anytime you want. It's going to be a training facility. You come in, hey, so and so, I got powerlifting meet in 12 months. This is my goal, this and that. You get your measurements, we create a plan, and boom, you go into training mode. Right. And that's what it's going to be, along with the event center, because I enjoy boxing. I am a big fan of boxing. Anybody can tell you that on coming up. So it'll be an event center to where we can hold boxing matches, powerlifting events, strongman events. Right. So it's going to be an all-blown, full-blown training facility where powerlifting, strongman, weightlifting, all that involved. And of course, I'm gonna get Willie involved. Yeah. Of course, Willie's he got a big hand in. He doesn't know it in Warrior Genetics Lab. He's one of the reasons why I'm still going on right now. Yeah. Of course, along with my family. Sure. But that's what Warrior Genetics Lab is getting to. It's going to become a full-blown lab eventually. Right. And I think that's where the idea for Fayetteville Strength Society came along with Willie and you and myself. Yeah. Just that idea, the concept, we're all kind of on the same page of we want to have a serious venue where
not only we can hold our own events whenever we want to and do clinics and things like that, but a place where when you walk in to train, your phone goes in your locker.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
yeah.
and you're there, and we push and push hard.
Yeah.
You know, very similar. Maybe not the same style, but the same mentality at least of, say, a West Side Barbell, a place like that.
Exactly. And I actually, started researching it, and a lot of things I pulled from is actually from the Under Armour facility, the Reebok facility.
Okay.
Let me see. West Side Barbell, they are more on the invite type, area.
Right.
Once you become a member, you're part of the camp.
Right.
That would, if we do go that route, that'll be a branch off
Sure.
of the training facility. Creating our own team and
Right.
stuff like that. But it'll be a full-blown training facility. Once you come in,
Right.
if there's any camera or video going on, it'll be from the trainers videotaping.
Right. Absolutely.
When your session is over, then it's over with.
Right.
It wouldn't be a gym.
Right. I think that's important too, because again, what we're trying to establish is we're not trying to establish a good old boys club of powerlifting and strong sports and things like that, where just we, our closest friends and things like that. We want to get something that everybody who's serious about reaching that next level of some sort of strength and fitness in their life, that we can offer some sort of thing in that avenue.
Yes.
And I think that's where we all saw that vision together. Whether the first time you get on the bench, you can only lift the bar. If you want to get to that next level, we can do that.
Yes.
And man, it's just that's what I love about the strength sports, because it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter where you came from.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a day one.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a day one.
It doesn't matter. Weight training is a discipline.
Yeah.
You got boxing, which is a discipline.
Yeah.
The martial arts, and what it does is it sort of discipline you as far as life. That's why when people go into it, strongman, moving. I love competing.
Yeah.
I probably would never be a pro, but just the fact of competition and
Right.
walking around with a 600-pound yoke on your back, it puts you in a different mode.
Yep.
It's a discipline.
Right.
And I think that's another reason we need to invest, and I actually mean invest in pitting strength training and power training into mental health.
Absolutely.
I believe I believe it'll help everybody. Even if somebody say, "Oh, I don't want to do that," once you start moving and you start seeing your accomplishments,
Right.
'cause one of the biggest accomplishments in life is when you can overcome something.
Yeah.
Now, if someone said, "Man, I'll never be able to lift 315," well, if I could get you to that point,
Right.
now that will help you with your steps in life.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's truthfully, that's what strongman did to me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it might sound cliche, but in reality, the gym, it really is metaphorical for life in general.
Oh, it is,
There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, but the gym is that safe haven, that place where you can go, where if I need a spot, I can turn to the guy next to me, or if I want to forget about my day. But when you go in, the color of your skin doesn't matter. How much you weigh doesn't matter. How much you lift doesn't matter. What matters is I'm here to make myself better, and hopefully you can be in a place where there are people around you that want to be invested in that as well. I try when I'm at the gym, I'm conversational, not to be a chatty Cathy, but just simply because if I've got a little bit of knowledge to share with somebody that I think could get them on a step to something else, I feel like that's super important.
Trust me. Yeah, weight training is very neutral. 45 pounds is 45 pounds.
That's right.
It doesn't care what you take, how do you look. It don't care what your religion is.
Right.
Once you get that barbell off, you got to put it back.
That's right. I think Henry Rollins is the one. I can't quote him directly, but talking about under the bar, everybody's the same.
Yeah.
When you get under the bar and you pull that weight off the rack, it's going to feel heavy, whatever it might be. And that's what we love about that.
Yeah.
Again, you can put everything aside and focus
Trust
on
me, yeah.
just
one
that
of the biggest esprit de corps cohesion I ever saw is at a strongman event.
Yeah.
I actually had guys I'm still close to now. One of my in a competition in Virginia, they were telling me how to beat them.
Right.
What I mean by that, they was like, shoot your hips, do this, do that, and,
Right.
and that's just amazing,
Right.
man.
Right.
You know,
And that's it.
amazing.
Yeah, you're right. Because a lot of it really, it's not about, again, did I beat you? For me, if I went out there and I did my best and I hit my target numbers, I'm still going to feel awesome. Whether I finish first or 101st,
it is fun, man.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, before we go, anything, you know, with Warrior Genetics Lab, is there a website?
Yes, it's WGL-SE.com.
WGL-
Strength Equipment, Strength Events.
There you go, WGL-SE.com. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Please share this video. It's important. We want to get these stories out. I want to tell individual stories about people, but also we want people to see that no matter the walk of life you come from, where you've been, where you're at, there is a way to get out of that, and there is a way to move towards something. If you set a goal for yourself,
Exactly.
surrounding yourself with good people,
Exactly.
and challenging yourself, man, those are two of the most important parts.
It is. Trust me.
So, Derrick, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, check out Warrior Genetics Lab again, and keep looking for the Patient Strength vlog or podcast. Hey, thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, boss.